how can we make a monthly budget spreadsheet here in Excel to control all the expenses and also the incomes that we're gonna have throughout the year, throughout the month, daily, and so on, so on. Let's take a look here in this first spreadsheet. Of course, first, because we can create another one to the next month, January, February, March, April, and so on, so on. Within 1 second, we can duplicate this spreadsheet, and we're gonna see how throughout this video. Here we have the title, monthly budget spreadsheet, and in the row underneath, we have the dates. And something interesting here is, if I move down the spreadsheet, as you guys can see, the headers stay fixed in the same position. And also, if I move to the right, the spreadsheet, the first column stay in the same position, because that way we're not going to lose the reference whenever you move down or whenever you move to the right. We can continue to have the reference from the headers and also here from the categories that we are using in the spreadsheet. Another interesting thing is you can input the values, the incomes, and also the expenses whenever you receive or expend the value. So you don't need to fill in or input information in the spreadsheet every single day, just the days that you receive or expend a value. For example, here as the side hustle, I receive $100 in the January 2nd and also in the January 6th. And in all the other days, the cells are blank because there's no income in those days, okay? And if I take a look here in the expenses, the same thing applies here. There is no necessity to fill in all the cells with the values. I just fill it in the cells that corresponds to the day that I expend some values. So let's take a look here, for example, fuel. In the January 1st, there are no expense with fuel, but in the January 2nd, there is. And in the January 4th, and so on, basically every other day. And move on here underneath, I have the total in and also the total out. That is basically an addition of all the values that make up the total income or the total expenses that I had. And also here I have the grand total of the January month. So this is all the features that we're gonna have in this spreadsheet. And of course, we're gonna step by step from scratch see how can we make this spreadsheet. And if you have any questions throughout the video, or also you didn't like something or you wish I did something a little bit different, comment down below, because I'm always bringing new spreadsheets, and that way I can make a new version of this one. Okay, so let's find out now how can we make this spreadsheet step by step from scratch. Let's go. The first thing that I like to start with is just here in the first cell, typing in the title of the spreadsheet, that is monthly budget spreadsheet, or just monthly budget. Let's make that way. And then let's say here in the spreadsheet itself, I can right click here and then go to rename and give it a name of January, or just Jan. Enter. Because we're gonna have here January, February, March, April, and so on, so on. So this is the first spreadsheet that we're gonna use, the first month, January. And don't worry, because to make the February, the March, we can do it within 1 second. Now, after we have here the title, let's go to the cell B3, where we can start with the dates. The first date of the January month, it's gonna be January 1st of the year that you are at, 2024, 2025, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna go here with 2024, enter. And here in the next row is gonna be January 2nd of 2024, and so on, so on. But instead of doing it manually, I can input here a formula, equal the previous value, add to 1, plus 1, enter, and that's it. And another detail that I can change here is, instead of using this format here for the date, I can change it, make it a little bit shorter. So I can select here everything, and then I can go to the Home tab. And here in date, I'm going to click here in this down arrow and I go to more number formats. I'm going to choose here the option date, and then this one right here, 14-Mar of March. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Now I can click in this down right corner of the cell, click, hold, and drag to the right. See, I hit the January 31st. One more. Okay, that's it. With those first things done, I can move on and change the layout and the design of those things. Let me click here over the number 1 to select the entire first row. And then I'm gonna go to the Home tab and I'm gonna change the color to a blue one, maybe like this. I think it's gonna be good. Okay. And also I'm gonna click in the first cell where I typed in before the title of the spreadsheet, and I'm gonna click Home, put everything in bold, and change the font color to white, increase the size maybe to 20, and also align here in the middle and align to the left, like this, monthly budget. I'm gonna do something similar to the dates that I have just underneath. I'm gonna select everything to the end, and again, Home tab, put everything in bold, change the font color to white and the background to blue. And also align everyone here in the middle, everything in the middle. Okay, that's it. Now something interesting that we can do here is whenever I roll down here the spreadsheet, or whenever I move to the right, as you guys can see, I lost a couple of references. For example, if I move down the spreadsheet, I lost the reference of the dates. So I don't know anymore which one of the columns corresponds to the January 1st, or January 2nd, 3rd, and so on. So to make sure we can lock the header and we can see the way the header in anywhere in the spreadsheet, whenever I roll down or go to the right, I need to freeze all those three first rows and also the first column. So I'm going to click just here in the cell B5, maybe B5, okay? And then I can go to View and freeze panes. Click here, and yeah, that's it. So whenever I move down or move to the right, the first column and also the first three rows is going to stay fixed in the screen for me. Another thing that we can do here is select the dates again. I'm going to increase a little bit the size of the font of the dates. Home tab, and instead of using 11, I'm going to use 14. I think it's better. Or also 12. 12 is good, I think. Let me select here the row number 2, right click, and then row height. Instead of using 15, I'm going to use 5, enter. And also the row 4th, right click, row height. Instead of use 15, 5 again, enter. And yeah, that's it. Now, just here in the cell A5, I'm going to start typing income, enter. And maybe just here in the row 10th, maybe I can type in expenses, or expenses, enter. Incomes. I'm going to click over the row 5th to select everything, and then home. I'm going to put here everything bold, white font, and paint here everything with this greenish color. I'm going to do something similar to the expenses, but instead of using green, I'm going to use a reddish color, like this. Put everything in bold, and yeah, that's it. I can also increase the font to 12 in the incomes and also the expenses, like this. And I can also, as you guys can see, change the size of the column A, because the text that I have here within the column A is a little bigger than the actual size of the column A. So I think it's a good idea to click in between the column A and B, click, hold, and drag to the right, because that way we can increase the size of this column. Okay, that's it. We are actually almost halfway done with this spreadsheet. Something that we can do now is type it in the categories that we're going to have as the incomes and also the expenses. Maybe your incomes and also your expenses can be different than mine, so be free to type it in here, all the information that we need. And if you need to input more rows, what you can do is clicking any row, just select everything, and then right click, insert. One more time, right click, insert. This is the best way and option to input a new blank row here in the spreadsheet. As incomes, maybe I can have here, let's say the salary and side hustle and other things. As expenses, maybe I can have mortgage. But instead of make this video too long, I'm gonna pause here this video. I'm gonna fill it in with the information that I'm gonna use as income and also expense. And then I came back and show you how I fill it in all these two informations. Okay, so those are my incomes and also the expenses. As incomes, I'm using here wage and a side hustle. And as expenses, I'm using mortgage, car insurance, fuel, travel, and so on and so on. Of course, you can pause the video to see what I'm using here, but you can actually create your own, because maybe your incomes and expenses can be different than mine. Now that we already done with the incomes and expenses, and of course, if you need to insert a new row with a new information or also delete a row that you're not going to use anymore, you can do so. And I'm going to show you just in one moment how can we do it properly. Let me do something here. With now just underneath the dates, or under the dates, we're going to input the values corresponds to the incomes or the expenses. And to do it, let's say my wage, I just received my wage every other day. So in the January 1st, I got here $300. And in January 3rd, I got 200. And then in January 5th, I got 400, and so on and so on. Something that we can change here in this number, instead of using a number itself, is a standard number, I can change the format as the currency that I'm looking for, such as dollar, for example. So I can select everything here within the incomes, select everything, to the end, and I'm going to change the format to the currency one. Home tab, and then I'm going to click here in this dollar sign to using the format as dollar. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to do something similar here to the expenses. I'm going to select everything that I have to the end, okay, to here. And I'm going to change home and put everything in the account format like this. And yeah, we done. And before we see how can we input, insert a new row and delete this, a row that we not going to use anymore, let's go here to under everything, and maybe in the row 27, I can type it in total in, for example, and total out. That is the addition of everything that we have in the income, and also the addition that everything that we have as the expenses. So basically, we're going to need to use here a sum function to add up all the values that corresponds and match with the income and or the expenses. As the total in, I'm going to use here equal sign, the sum function, double click, want you to select, and I'm going to add up all the values that corresponds here to the income category. I'm going to press enter, and that's it. For the total out, it's pretty similar, equal sign, sum function, double click here, 1, 2, and I'm going to select everything that corresponds to the expenses, like this. I know that there's a lot of blank cells here, but I'm going to fill it in later. Close parentheses and then enter. Okay. I can select both, click in the down right corner of the cell, click, hold, and drag to the right. That way I make sure all the columns contain the same exactly function. And that's it. Another thing that we can do here is the total in and out. We can format with a different layout, such as home tab, put everything in bold, align the middle, paint the font with a white color, and also change to green in the background. The total out, I can do something similar, but instead of using green as the background, I'm going to use this reddish color. Okay, I think it's good. And now the last thing that we can do here is maybe the balance or the total January, or just the total. Okay, that is basically the balance, that everything that I have in and out my account, the balance. Equal sign, sum function, double click here, 1, 2. It's going to add up all the values that I have here in the row 27, like this, close parentheses, minus the sum function again, double click here, 1, 2. All the values that I have now in the total out, row 28, like this, close parentheses. So basically, it's the difference between everything that in and everything out, okay? Enter, and that's it. So here is our balance. I can select both, home tab, align in the middle, increase the font to 12, put everything in bold, and also change the format as the dollar. Okay, yeah, that's it. Now, just to make this spreadsheet a little bit more complete, I'm gonna fill it in with the information that I'm gonna use here. Okay, so just an example, I fill it in with a couple of different values, and just to show how it works, let's say my income as the wage is every other day that I receive this value, $300, and then 200, and then 400, and so on and so on. And here you can either, instead of using blank spaces, blank cells, you can type it in 0, enter. It doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't change anything. I prefer just to leave a blank cell because it's easier. You don't need to input a 0 whenever you have anything, you can just leave it blank. Side hustle, I also type in whenever I receive a value, so you don't need to input values in all the columns, all the days, just the days that you receive or expended the value. Also here in the expenses, let's say mortgage, I paid every day 5, okay, so here $500. Car insurance, I pay every first day of the month, and so on and so on. Fuel, you don't need to fill it in all the cells, just in the cells that corresponds with the date that I will expend or receive a value. And down below here, we can check the total in each one of the days of the month, and also the balance, the final balance, that is the addition of all the total ins minus the total outs. That way we have here the final, the grand total, let's say, the balance, the final balance. And as I said before, how can we add a new row, let's say? Now I have a new type of income, so I need to input here a new row. But maybe there is a problem because I don't want to mess up with the formulas and the functions. So how can I do it properly? Let's say you can click here in the last row, okay? In the last row where we have informations, click to select everything, and then right click, insert. Now I have here a new blank row. And as you guys can see here in check through the formula, total in, for example, let's say, double click here, 1, 2 to open the function. If you check the range, it's correct. So the range just increased in one cell because this one cell corresponds to the new row that we just inserted before. So that's it. So this is how we can input and insert a new row. Just click over a row, right click, and then insert. And if you want to delete it, right click again, delete. Simple as that. Now let's say you want to, January month is done, so we want to go to the February. Something that you can do is go here down below in the spreadsheet itself, in the tab, and then you can press and hold the Control key, click and hold the spreadsheet, click over the spreadsheet, click, hold, and then drag to the right. That way you can duplicate this spreadsheet. Now you can right click, rename, and February, enter. And do not forget, because you need to be mindful here with the date. Instead of using January, you need to type it in February 1st of 2024. Enter, and that's it. All the next dates is going to be automatically changed and updated for you. And to delete the values, you simply can select everything here, like this, and press the delete button, and that's it. Simple as that. So this is how you can duplicate this monthly budget spreadsheet easily throughout the months, January, February, March, April, and so on, so on. So I hope you guys, this video can help you out, and if you have any questions or any suggestions to the next videos, let me know, comment down below, and I see you tomorrow, as every day has a new video. I see you there.